Instead of adding a ground to the entire page first, we're just going to add it around her, and then part of that graphite, or to our self-portraits, and then part of that graphite will carry over and kind of set a ground over our drawing. And this is a way we can do this without, it's a good way to do this without covering up our image too much. So not putting it directly on the face. And then I'm going to get some tissues and just kind of rub it in, and you really want to get a nice smooth texture with it if you can. And now what we're going to use is this ebony pencil, and that's going to give us really, really dark, deep shadow. I've definitely got some shadows under my eye and kind of in this eye socket, and look how lightly I'm adding that. And okay. Okay. I'm going to take the pencil and just add a little bit darker under that eyebrow so it looks like the light is on the top of the eyebrow. Look how much darker this is than the graphite to use this pencil. And even your eyeball, even though it's typically white, it'll have some shading on it like a sphere. So I kind of added that. I'm going to darken this ridge because this meaty part that goes over your eye is 3D. It has an edge there where light can't get to it, okay? And then of course my eyelashes. And I'm not even having to sharpen this. You might need to, but I haven't needed to yet. Now, of course, these details with your eyelashes can be added back, because a lot of times as you start adding shading and stuff, you might lose them. So you can always go add them back. Kind of like this crease. This crease on me is like very dark. Okay. I'll work on the right side of the head and I'll work down. So under my hair, and like, you know, your face is like a sphere, and when it goes back in space, it gets a little darker, and it especially gets darker, you know, where there's a shadow, like here on the hair. So I'm just going to put a shadow there. You can use your finger to smooth it out. Remember to use your blending technique, and that's where you just draw very lightly, and you can add more and more and more over it until it gets as dark as you want it to be. Okay, so it's starting to look 3D, isn't it? Under your eye, you'll probably have a little bit of shading, kind of close to your eye. Definitely this area where the bridge of your nose is. Now, your nose does not technically have a line up and down both sides, but it does have a shadow, okay? So I'm just going to kind of add that. If you get a shadow kind of in a wrong place, you have another tool to help you with that. Here is mine. So I noticed I got some shadow on this part of the nose. I didn't want it right there, so. Alright, so some of the shadow under the eye. And y'all are adding shadows along with me, right?
Okay.
No?
No. I'm just working on my face.
Oh, okay. Alright, so think about where your teeth are in your head. Think about where your cheekbone is. I'm not touching that with my graphite fingers, by the way. your cheekbone is raised, so it's going to have highlights on it, all right? And where your teeth are, that's going to be kind of sunk in a little bit, and that's where your shadows are going to be. So just kind of like from here and like around my mouth, I don't really have a lot of shadows, but I would say from here and down, this is going to be kind of in this shade a little bit, a little shadows on it. Do not start out drawing too rough or hard with the pencil, because you can add to the shading, but it's a lot harder to lighten it up. Don't sharpen these pencils. They're so hard to add shading with if you have to sharpen them. Okay, so see how I left this where my cheekbone is, and then I shaded this in darker. And then the top lip usually is darker than the bottom lip. So that's something you want to darken that in a little bit. And you should have a shadow, some shading under your bottom lip. Definitely in here. See how that's going to just make it look three-dimensional? And then we'll add highlights to that. Sorry guys, I didn't realize y'all couldn't see that. I'll add highlights to that in a minute. I've got some shading here. Not much. And then you know that thing that you have right under your nose? You won't necessarily color that in all the way, but what you'll do is like one side of it will have the shadow, and then the other side of it will have a shadow, like that kind of. We'll try to smooth it up. It's not a very drastic one, but did you find yours, Kayla? You're not going to color in your nostrils solid, because light is going to kind of go in your nose a little bit. And the way mine is it's darker right up against the edge. And then it just kind of fades like that. So something I want you looking at and noticing as you're adding shadows is this pencil will get almost black when you draw with it. And I want you to look at which parts are the darkest, and make sure that all of your darkest spots in your shading are the same level of darkness. So like right here on the mouth, I could make that darker with those shadows. Okay. And right here, where my hair disappears back behind my hair, I can make that really, really dark. Okay, my nose is kind of square. And so this is just going to be a little darker. And I'll go add the highlights here in a little bit. Okay, so I really do need to do all of this to the other side, but I'm going to leave it left alone just so you can see a comparison. I'm also going to add some shading down here under the chin and the neck, okay? So I'm going to round this up a little bit. The chin is kind of a circle, so I'm not going to put a whole lot of shading on that. And you guys remember doing the gradients, the value scales with the graphite, going from dark to light. That's where that comes in really handy right now. And I'm using my finger to do this, but if you want to use a tissue, or if you have a blending stump, yours is right here under that one, then you can use that. We're going to use a big eraser for the larger area, so like the area above the brow line and kind of this round part of your forehead. This little part of the eyebrow where the light hits it. You definitely want to erase out the whites of your eyes. Not all of them. Not the entire thing, because it is a sphere and we'll have shading on it. But you want to erase that out. Where the light is on your highlight on your nose. Right above your lip, there'll be light. And on your cheekbone here. Remember me talking about the chin should have a highlight. And the way that your lips are set up, your bottom lip catches more light, so you definitely want to highlight that.